as we raise our voices high, praising the one most high, under the auspice watchful eye. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator again we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Harmony in every beat, our faith is concrete. Through the pages of the OSP, ancient wisdom on display, teaching us the righteous way, leading us to a brighter day. With each trumpet blast, we're reminded of the past and the love that will ever last in this divine contrast. United in spirit, we uplift and hear it. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator again we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune, under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone.
Welcome to the Jehovah Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
Yeah, right back like I left some. Hey, it's your hostess with the mostest, holding that fire like a roach clip. Your naga, your nerve, fresh off of that curve. Jelly Jenna preserve. Cloud kicker, nakwakai. Huh? Jehovah's son, man. Right back up at it, man. Shout out to the faithers, man. What's going on, y'all? Just tapping in on the late night. You dig what I'm talking about? I ain't even had no specific build, man. Just seeing what's the word with the faithers, man? Seeing who gonna tap in. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all hiding and ducking. What you doing? You dig what I'm talking about? You dig what I'm saying? You scared to show the Creator some love? You dig what I'm talking about? Come up, kick it with your brother and them. You dig what I'm talking about? You just hiding your faithism. You dig what I'm saying? Or what we doing? You dig what I'm saying? I'm just checking on the fam. What's going on, man? Love, life, balance out there to everybody. You dig what I'm saying? All right. Of course, it's all praise to the ever-present Creator. Huh? The one who always was, is, and ever shall be. You dig what I'm talking about? First and last. Alpha and Omega. The mover. Huh? The quickener. The destroyer. Yeah, because see, if you the creator, right, guess what you got to do, be able to do at the same time you're creating? You must be able to destroy, right? It's a simultaneous process, right? For instance, you can't create a paper airplane except without destroying the structure of the paper. Build and destroy without waste. Man, shout out to everybody coming in, man. You dig what I'm talking about? You dig what I'm saying? I'm just play a little something real quick, man. Get this vibe going real quick. Let some people share the live out, man. Y'all share the live. You dig what I'm saying? Play a little something. You dig what I'm saying? And let the people come on in, man. Y'all thumb up the video, share the live out, y'all. You dig what I'm saying? Let's go.
Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmic. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
Yeah, I feel good right now. The atmospheric, green skies, the gang coming. I be in and out, so leave that thing running. Purify is preferred. Higher frequency, a higher bird. I observe on a different nerve. Breaking codes, I am the yoga. Deadly as a Ruger, straight and a shooter. Out the holster with this mudra, inoculation with the wisdom. Creator shape my prism and hit them with no schisms. Perfect. Reason turn the light up. Y'all disappointing like 9 to 5 and some write-ups. Something rearranged, let that boy cook. Organization 33, stay up in them books. Lead them boys shook. 46 divided, yeah, I'm Fort Michael. It was only rifle that I came up in this cycle. They say they gangsters, but they telling it. Step outside, take off my shoes and let the sun hit my melon. Had to relearn that the herb beat the medicine. It's the same matrix, so who you think you better than? Perfect.
So this black man had white.
Eternal life, put a babe in the core. Bow till I'm about to come back for more. They call it holy, I call it strange. Blood on the doors, man, nothing changed. In the cup, blood on the floor, blood on the crowd, and they beg for more. Blood on their hands, blood in the book. Talking about peace with the bloodlust look. Blood in the song, blood in the prayer. Blood on the Savior with nails in the air. Blood for your sins, blood for your soul. Blood as the ticket to heaven's robe. Say he died for you, ain't that sweet? But first you gotta kneel and wash your feet in a pool of guilt. Yeah, the shame runs deep, red rivers flowing while the shepherds sleep. They say the blood cleans, makes you pure, but every drop got a price, that's for sure. Ties and fear, the collection plate, bleeding the people in the name of fear. In the cup, blood on the floor, blood on the ground, and they beg for more. Blood on their hands, blood in the book, talking about peace with the bloodlust look. Blood in the song, blood in the prayer. Blood on the Savior with nails in the air. Blood for your sins, blood for your soul. Blood as the ticket to heaven's robe. Eat of my flesh, drink of my blood. Sounds like a sermon or a vampire club. You call it grace, I call it wild. Why you baptizing that child? In blood, blood, blood. Blood in the cup, blood in the sky. Blood in the dreams, don't even know why. Blood on the hands, blood in the book. Blood is the answer, blood is the need.
All right, shout out to everybody out there, man. Anybody want to come in, man, come kick it with your homie. You dig what I'm talking about? We just free chopping it. You dig what I'm saying? Ain't even no real topic right now. You dig what I'm talking about? So if y'all got anything that y'all want to build on, we can always build on. You dig what I'm saying? Till then, you dig what I'm saying? We can just jump in to some stuff that I've been on. You dig what I'm saying? I've been on a lot of different things lately, man. Brother Malachi Maccabee, y'all watched the show today, man. Y'all should have watched it. It was a dope show. He brought up the fact of the 8.7, 8.8 magnitude earthquake that was in the Pacific. But I'm gonna do a build on what they found after that earthquake under the floor of the Pacific. They found a massive cavern, which seems like a structure, a building. You dig what I'm talking about? Up under the floor of the Pacific. You dig what I'm saying? You know, y'all want to come on in, man? Come on in, man. Come kick it with your boy, man. You dig what I'm saying? If not, then I guess we'll just keep it short. You dig what I'm saying? I hate to keep bothering y'all. You dig what I'm saying with this information? You dig what I'm saying? Dig what I'm saying? I don't want to, you know, push nothing on nobody that don't want it. You dig what I'm saying? But you know, we can get into a little something real quick. Shout out my young brother Job Bricks, right? Because we're gonna get into a topic today. You dig what I'm talking about? I guess, you know, just to get the build going. Anybody want to come on in, man, share their light on it, you know, what they know, or, even if it's just, this was something that you didn't know. You dig what I'm talking about, or weren't really aware of, and this is some new information, man. Come in and share your points of view on it. You dig what I'm talking about, and give your spiel on it. Right, a lot of people don't know that a lot of the slavery that was going on in the Americas, you dig what I'm talking about, of actual people being enslaved, wasn't necessarily us being enslaved, so-called quote unquote blacks, right? What a lot of people don't know is the very first slaves in America were white folks, Europeans. They continued to be that until 1860 in the Civil War, and they were freed. Not really what you probably heard, right? You probably heard that white people who were, historically barbarians, cavemen, some of the most destructive and genocidal people on the planet, right? Somehow, they just felt it in their heart that they should go kill each other to save us. Yeah, that story don't make no sense, Cosmo. You right. It don't make sense. You dig what I'm talking about? Because it's not in fact true. You're right. Let's get into this topic, the truth about quote unquote Black Americans owning white slaves. Now, mind you, this in the 1800s. Remember, they trying to tell you a slave, right? They trying to tell you a slave. But when you really do the homework, right? When you really deep down in it, right? You're going to find that it was many people who look like you who own slaves, right? Could you imagine trying to slave 10,000 Cosmons? I just don't think, I knew it was cap when they was telling it. Then I did my genealogy, didn't find one African or a slave. And I'm back into the 1600s on two of my lines, and every shit, I think I'm in the 1600s on 3 lines, right? But I'm at least into the early 1800s on my youngest line. Early 1800s. You dig what I'm talking about? Way before 30, 40 years before the Civil War. You dig what I'm talking about? And one thing, if you was a slave, or if you was an immigrant, African, you dig what I'm talking about, anything like that, you weren't on the census, especially by name, you weren't. right? They may, if you were on the slave schedule, list you by if you're lucky, the head of the house, whichever black or white, was listed by name, but everybody else was listed by age. And if you were an African or a slave of anything, you couldn't get on the census. So how are my people named on the census as heads of households with their full names, with their ages and all that? Well, why? Is because they weren't slaves and they aren't African. There was no system in the early 1800s until after 1865 in the Emancipation Proclamation that there was a system, right, that was making Africans Americans or turning slaves into Americans. Now, they did do it in 1790 with white, creating them a social structure or construct, which they goes on to later on replace the word American or to equate to the word American. So even in them days, if you were free, landowning, you did what I'm talking about, possibly Christian, you were called white, irregardless of your skin color. Remember, ain't none of y'all black. None of you have black skin, and yet they call you black, right? No white people actually have white skin. They kind of pink. You dig what I'm talking about? So remember, these constructs don't define who you are. I got to give a shout out to my young brother, Job Bricks. Shout out my young brother, Job Bricks. This the young homie, y'all. I'm going to let him cook. And we just going to get into the so-called blacks or the Aboriginal Americans who owned white slaves in the 1800s. The story is not what they told you it was, family. Huh? They lied. Let's go.
You ain't gonna believe it. So this black man had white slaves in the 1800s, outsmarted the whole Wall Street, got rich off a fire that destroyed half of New York, and fought off a whole white mob that tried to lynch him. So the brother name is Jeremiah. Now, before you start thinking this some fairy tale about black excellence, let's
now notice. Jeremiah ain't no slave. How did he get this last name? You go find out this ain't no African and all that stuff. And even though, you know, the narrative is always going to say, if you got brown skin, you must come from Africa. You're going to notice that that's not really this guy's story, right? And he a thug. You dig what I'm saying? And what we going to find out is, well, just my question real quick is, if you weren't a slave, right? If you weren't a slave, you was a free person of color over here. Mind you, that's the biggest number of people in the Americas, the free people of color, even in the 1790 census, right? Okay. You free, right? How do you get the name Hamilton when the narrative, right? The narrative is that white Europeans gave you your last names, Cosman. Well, then how he get the last name Hamilton? Before the president. All right, just question everything. That's all I'm saying. Question everything.
get this straight. This man was not a saint. He was a menace. This dude wasn't asking for a seat at the table. He was flipping the whole damn table over and buying the building it was in. Now let's rewind to the early 1800s. Jeremiah born in 1806, and Haiti is fresh off the Haitian Revolution. And this kid learns quick. If you want to survive, you better learn how to outthink everybody else. And boy, did he. His first hustle, counterfeit coins. He got caught slinging fake currency, bringing them from New York to Haiti, and ends up getting chased out of Haiti by a French warship. Yes, an actual warship. That's how wild bro was coming. But that was just Act 1. Fast forward to the 1820s, Jeremiah shows up to New York. No money, no connections, and no mercy. And remind you, this was around the time when blacks couldn't even walk freely around the city, let alone into a bank. See, around this time, Wall Street was a powder wig white boy's paradise until Hambleton showed up and crashed the party. And get this, he didn't just join the game, he started making his own rules. First move, maritime insurance. Bro turned that to a gold mine. He brought insurance policies on ships and cargo, and then mysteriously some of them ships start sinking. Word on the streets, Jeremiah might have had a hand in a few of them sinking. But this ain't court, this is simple survival. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But here's the thing, he don't just make a little paper, he starts stacking real wealth. And then boom, disaster strikes. Fast forward to 1835, a massive fire tears through lower Manhattan. Like them kind of fires you might read in the Bible or something. Buildings collapsing, banks crumbling, businesses turned to ash. It was called the Great Fire of New York, and it wiped out the whole financial district. Insurance companies going belly up left and right. White-owned businesses is panicking, but guess who was calm? Jeremiah. He holds stacks of insurance claims, and unlike the big names around him, he liquid. So while all of them crying over what just happened, he cashing in. It's the Black Wall Street before Black Wall Street, and it makes him enemy number one. And these white elites lose their goddamn mind. They start calling him all types of names. Prince of Darkness, Rogue Broker, Wall Street's Black Demon. You know they scared when they...
Man, they call that man Beelzebub. you know you got white folks scared when they call you a devil. The Prince of Darkness. Man, this is how I know, man. I couldn't have lived there. I ain't even gonna lie, man. I'd have been a terrible dude. You know what I mean? No cameras. You can get away with stuff. Oh man, I'd have been bad. It'd have been bad. You dig what I'm talking about? I ain't gonna lie. I probably got me a couple insurance policies and some ships would have sunk too. I ain't even gonna front. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out Jeremiah Hamilton. You dig what Hamilton's in my family anyway. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out my cousin Tony. You dig what I'm saying? And all the Hamiltons out there, man, in the Hague. You dig what I'm saying? Love, light, balance out there.
Stop trying to kill your name and start mythologizing you. But it didn't stop there. He started buying up real estate. I'm talking about entire neighborhoods. Started investing in railroads, some of which wouldn't even let black folks ride. And he grinning like, that's cool. I'll just own the train. Fast forward to the 1840s, and Jeremiah, that dude, a black man walking around New York with a top hat and a smirk. He moves into a mansion with white slaves. Yes, white slaves. And it's the 1800s. Let that cook for a second. See, that's the type of history they try to hide from their children. Imagine a cognitive dissonance. He's living in the exact world designed to enslave him, and he flipping it upside down for fun. But just because he had money didn't mean he had peace. Because 1863 rolls around, and so does the smoke. The Civil War draft riots hit New York. And listen, it wasn't just some folks mad about the draft. It turned into a full-blown race massacre. Black people being dragged in the streets, homes set on fire, bodies hanging from lamp posts. And guess who they wanted next? Jeremiah. A white mob with ropes in their hand rolls up to his house like they about to rewrite history. But bro wasn't even there. Instead, his wife, Elisa Jane, and a white woman answer the door. And somehow, they walk away. Now pause. This the 1800s. And black men are getting murdered for looking at white women. And Jeremiah, he was married to one and had 10 kids with him. And no one could touch him. This man had legal and social immunity built off money and muscle. And that wasn't just rare, that was unheard of around the time. Now let's talk numbers real quick. By the time he dies in 1875, Hamilton's estate is worth $2 million. That's $300 million in today's money. He was the richest black man in America. At a time when they said that most of us was enslaved or barely surviving, this dude was rewriting the American dream in black ink. But bro wasn't done punking the establishment. He went toe-to-toe with the titans of finance. Y'all know Cornelius Vanderbilt, the railroad king, the man with an ego bigger than his net worth? Yeah, Jeremiah sued him and won. Wall Street couldn't stand him. The newspapers painted him as a villain, but behind closed doors, they all had to respect him because he played by their rules and beat them at their own game. Now here's where it gets real dark, because you'll think somebody that iconic will be told in textbooks, right? Nope. When Jeremiah died, his name faded into the shadows. No documentaries, no museum plaques, not even a footnote in the Black History book. Like the system collectively erased this man, just like they did the dude in my last video, Tunis Campbell, which I highly recommend y'all check that out, by the way. Like the system said, erase that man. He's too powerful, too smart, too black. But thanks to historians like myself, and thanks to folks finally digging in the archives, his name rising again, as it should. Because Jeremiah is proof that not only were black people present in elite spaces, they were dominating them. They were suing tycoons, owning towns, surviving assassination attempts, and flipping tragedies into triumph. He was black wealth before black wealth had a name. So next time somebody try to gaslight you by saying black people never had power or Wall Street was never for us, you tell them Jeremiah Hamilton outsmarted the whole system, outworked the competition, and outlived the hate. The only reason he ain't in the books is because books were scared of him. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and comment in my comment section.
That's right. You dig what I'm talking about? And the real historians are doing the work now. The Creator says, did I not say that all things shall be revealed? Huh? Man is not going to live by belief. He going to live by what he knows, what he can prove. You dig what I'm saying? And they can't hold this information any longer. This is a time of balance. I wanted to get into, let me share this. Y'all thumb up the video. Share the live out real quick. Let me put a little something behind this. Let me see what we got going on. Y'all know when y'all hear that music, that mean I'm about to come with it. That's that old school. You dig what I'm talking about? That's that old school when I used to go with the balance all balances, check all checks, because you know what happens next when you see the butterfly vortex. Boy, y'all know that old school. Y'all, when you know what Cosmo throw this on, this gonna be interesting. We got up in this thing, man. We got up in here. Angelic in the house. Nazarene has seen Faith is my brother. What it do? Huh? Thank y'all for tapping in, family. You dig what I'm saying? Dig what I'm talking about, Amaris. Hey. Lawrence Burke, my brother, Johnny James. That's right, man. Salute. You dig what I'm talking about to my dog, Johnny James, man. You gotta shoot some music too, man. If y'all all got music, man, y'all go to Cosmon Cal TV if you want it played on the show. You dig what I'm talking about? You got some heat rocks, or you dig what I'm saying? You think it'll go good or whatever. Especially if you got a visual with it. You dig what I'm talking about? But don't let that discourage you neither. You dig what I'm talking about? Just if you got some heat rocks, shoot them in, man. But don't just make sure that you get an okay, especially when I ask for it. You dig what I'm talking about? Cause see, sometimes they'll strike you on the music and sometimes they won't. But you know, if it's stuff that already either got the rights to own or somebody's letting me use it, well then they can't really do anything about it. So just make sure y'all got y'all ducks in order. You dig what I'm talking about? And give me some free, clear music. You dig what I'm talking about? And we'll just keep, we'll keep pushing, man. I got you. You dig what I'm talking about? I got you. I'll bang it. You dig what I'm talking about? I'll bang it. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to my baby boy, Prince Judah Vaughn, for doing a great job over this week, man. Over this weekend, man. If y'all didn't see the last show, I went over, or show or two ago, I went over, the young man and, showed his growth in this, man. He came out of the Israelite doctrine himself. You dig what I'm talking about? And he was, able to dismantle and leave confounded haters who were trying to push against what he was saying, and he left them baffled. You dig what I'm saying? With his with what he was able to bring off the top of the head. He didn't go into no wasp or he didn't do none of that. Right? And then he was objective. He didn't go into no spookiness or, you dig what I'm talking about? You got to bow down, do this, that. And then what was really throwing him off was that his name was Judah, but he was against the Bible. They was just lost at that point. You dig what I'm saying? But shout out to my brother, man. You dig what I'm saying? Held it down. Held it down. I was proud of the young king. You dig what I'm talking about? I ain't even been able to talk to him. You dig what I'm talking about? To get at him, you dig what I'm talking about? But yeah, bro. Global purpose. You dig what I'm saying? Global purpose in this thing. Bishop X up in this thing. You dig? Sir Yogurt of Bronze, yes. Creator Gang music coming. You dig what I'm talking about? We gonna throw that mixtape together. You dig what I'm saying? Creator Gang mixtape. Long time in the works. Cosmon is on some hump. I have been BSing, but I've been having a little issues doing this and a little this and that and that. But don't worry about it. Tightening up on all this. Finally got the place to record. Shout out to Kev Capone. You dig what I'm talking about? And me and the bro just gonna start banging out. If don't nobody bang out, I'm gonna bang out. You dig what I'm talking about? We know the Horsemen gonna get it. You dig what I'm talking about? And we got a spoken word poet. Shout out Daryl Cosma. You dig what I'm talking about? Got Yogurt on the beat. Got Bugsy on the beat. Kev Capone on the beat. You dig what I'm talking about? Taz on the beat. You dig what I'm talking about? We gonna kill them, man. The gang hard. Gang hard. And we all can rap. You dig what I'm talking about? For real. You dig what I'm saying? So I think that Creator Gang music gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Shout out to the GOAT. Shout out to the GOAT. GOAT been on my mind lately. Because GOAT been saying, let's get this land up here popping, y'all. You know, Cosmon got the land. Let's put up some of these, get it excavated, put up some of these, tiny homes. You dig what I'm talking about? Put the tiny homes up, or the 3D printed joints, the block joints or whatever. You dig what I'm talking about? Get this thing moving, man. Yes, sir. Cloud kicker. You dig what I'm talking about? Bucky Wing, go. Salute, brother. How are you? Thank you for coming through. Hey, my Detroit 313 brother, man. Hurricane, man. Y'all go sub, like, share over there at Hurricane, man. You know, he always he heavy on the political. You dig what I'm talking about? It's always F the government with my brother. You dig what I'm talking about? And he not playing, he really mean it. You dig what I'm talking about? He really mean it. As a matter of fact, let me show my dog some love real quick, man. Let me see what I got over here. Let me show my dog some love real quick. Let me show my dog Hurricane some love, man. Let's go. Let's get it cracking. Hold on. Get it cracking.
Hurricane 313.
Fuck a president, fuck a dictator, fuck the prime minister, cause they all haters. Be the revolution.
Be the revolution.
Fuck the president, fuck a dictator, fuck the prime minister, cause they all haters. Be the revolution. Be the revolution. Agenda 2030, I don't think he heard me. Fuck the government, cause they tryna do this dirty. Waking up early, gotta grab the hammer. Have a fed hanging on the wall like a banner. Feel like Bruce Banner, turn it to the heart. Throw a dictator through a motherfucking car. Tell the prime minister, should've been the listener. True hunter, kill his ass like a killer would. Hit him up, got a bunch of bullets that'll fill him up. Tell the coroner, come and motherfucker pick him up. Spin a truck, you gon' ride out for another hit. Who to get? You can kill a motherfucking globalist. Solar fist, knock your head off of the outer space. Not a case, you would disappear, yeah, without a trace. United States is a corporation that is out of place. Burn it all down, let's do it fucking right away. Fuck the president, fuck the dictator, fuck the prime ministers, cause they all haters.
Be the revolution. Hey, y'all better listen.
Revolution.
Yeah.
Fuck the president, fuck the
Dictator.
fuck the prime ministers,
Cause they all hate it. Be the revolution. Hey, be the revolution.
Be the revolution. Smart cities coming, gonna be a trap. Fuck them that you cars, but the bitches getting hacked. Gotta grab the strap. I ain't getting chipped. Busting out the feds as I motherfucking dip. Hop up in the whip, getting got to slip. To my hideout, gotta plan another trip. Flew off of Michigan, head up to Switzerland. Killing world leaders cause they take from the innocent. Dissident, fuck the government, knock them down fast. California fire, that's a motherfucking land grab. Panama Canal, that's another fucking land grab. Chrome lab, baby bread, damn, I think I'm gone mad. Don't laugh, see the light flash from the chrome blast. 44 mag, take your motherfucking dome flash. United States, it's the shit we gotta burn fast. Revolutionary, take your motherfucking world fast. Fuck the president, fuck the dictator, fuck the prime ministers, cause they all haters. We the revolution. Be the revolution. Fuck the president, fuck the dictator, fuck the prime minister, cause they all haters. We the revolution. Be the revolution. Fuck the president, fuck the dictator, fuck the prime ministers, cause they all haters. We the revolution. Be the revolution. Fuck the president, fuck the dictator, fuck the prime ministers, cause they all haters. We the revolution. Be the revolution.
Hurricane 313.
Hit the link, Mally Mal. Come through, hit the link, y'all. All right, let's get back to this real quick. Shout out my dog Hurricane, man. You dig what I'm talking about? Stay on the political. You dig what I'm talking about? He stay on the government neck. You dig what I'm talking about? That's why I can always respect it. You dig what I'm talking about? I can always respect it because unlike any other book, You dig what I'm talking about? In the world, supposedly a spiritual text. You dig what I'm talking about? Owaspi says it puts the blame of the ills of man on the government of man. You dig what I'm talking about? It's not the people's fault that they being led astray. Huh? I had never heard that before, y'all. I'm just being real. I never heard that before. Right? I felt that way. You dig what I'm talking about? I felt that way. I see the wealth gap. I felt the wealth gap. I've lived in it. Huh? Grew up through the crack era, the opioid era, gangster rap. You dig what I'm talking about? And that's not the, blame it on the young dudes trying to change their situations, because you dig what I'm saying? Much of that so-called gangster rap, they was really trying to blame everything on. Man, they was dropping messages in there that saved many of us. Huh? You got to remember, it was dudes that, bigged up the getting all the money and all that, but it was dudes who was real, who was telling the other side of the game. That it's only really two things. It's only three things you can do. You can blow up, right? You can die. You can go to jail. And it was dudes like, for instance, Ghetto Boy, Scarface, all them. You dig what I'm talking about? Pop. Even Big. You dig what I'm talking about? Hovey. A lot of these boys back in the days, you dig what I'm talking about? 40 now. That was talking about that business, talking about doing it right. And even through that era, you dig what I'm talking about? It was able to shed some light, because essentially hip hop is how you move. Huh? It's knowledge in motion. You dig what I'm saying? We was just building on Black Slave Owners. You dig what I'm talking about? Thumb up the video. You dig what I'm saying? This is a book by Larry Koger. Larry Koger, called Black Slave Owners. Dodge that black term. You dig what I'm talking about? Be conscious. You dig what I'm talking about? Because what we really finding out, that once you really look into it, melanated and pale skinned Europeans were owned by melanated Americans, right? Melanated and pale skinned Africans were owned by melanated Americans, and vice versa. So the whole blacks, enslaved blacks is cap, right? And what we finding out is many of the so-called slaves, or quote unquote indentures, because there is really no difference, right? And if you can't get in front of a court, it don't matter what your indenture say or that you signed up for this. It is slavery, right? If it's so many people indentured here, why don't we see so many people going to court? Right? There are some, and many of them are melanated. So how are they signing indentures if they slaves? You got to choose to sign an indenture, right? Or somebody trick you into one. Let's get into this real quick. Black slaves owner, free black slave masters in South Carolina, 1790 to 1860. Or basically from the time of the very first census, 1790, until 1860, in the beginning of the Civil War. Remember, the forgotten cause of the Civil War is white slavery. They were enslaved. They were worried about, them lines being crossed, again, right? And as we're gonna see during the census, brothers is gaining more and more and more. You dig what I'm talking about? As people are being reported, not that they already didn't have it, they just were never being reported. How many of y'all never felt out of senses? I never have, never will. You dig what I'm talking about? I can tell you most of my family have never, ever felt out of senses. Maybe some of the old heads back in the day. Yeah, but we ain't sitting there and telling nobody nothing. You dig what I'm talking about? Yeah, man. I know so many people who never felt out a senses. You dig what I'm saying? But let's cook a little bit. This is Free Black Slave Holdings from Black Slave Owners by Larry Koger. I'll throw the let me see. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'll throw the whatchamacallit in the chat. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So y'all can have the book yourselves. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all can get the book yourselves. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit. That could look a little better. You dig what I'm saying? This is Free Black Slave Holdings. It says the percentage of free black slave owners, free, right? Not freed, like they was. So these people right here, these free blacks, would have been the descendants of the free people of color. Listen, they didn't change our name 9 times. They didn't call you everything. Indian, black, colored, mulatto, shit, nigga, negro, black, African American. Man, they didn't call you everything. Why? To disenfranchise you. Right? This is what Jim Crow was about. Jim Crow is the disenfranchisement of the Aboriginal American, the nigga who had all the money. Right? Now, they got a movie y'all need to check out called I think it's Children of the Flower Moon. Right? Now, in the movie, they're going to show the some Native Americans, some Mongoloidal types. We aren't Native Americans, we're American Indians. This is why Native Americans don't like to be called Indian, because they know the difference. They know they primarily European and Asian, right? As the mix, right? We know the word American describes the copper colored races found here by Europeans, right? But is now applied to Europeans. What you got to understand is the Siberian Mongoloidal native on the reservation today is himself. You dig what I'm saying? A immigrant. He migrated here. He indentured himself. He enslaved himself. He promised to fight in wars. They were brought to the Americas many times by the Manila Galleons and the Coolie trade. They were called Chinos when they got here, and they fought on the side of the Spanish in the Mexican Revolutionary War. Most of these people didn't get here to the early 1800s, right? They weren't. They were here to at the end of the Atlantic slave trade was ending. The Pacific was cranking up, right? So this is how many of those Chinese-looking, Asian-looking, so-called Americans got here. You dig what I'm talking about? They're not ancient at all. Now, shout out to the Aleut Inuit brothers. They have been here a long time and have been mixing with us, and is where you get a person like an Iroquois from. Algonquins was mixing with the Aleut types. You produce something like an Iroquois, a mixed nigga, right? Warlike too. They call them the Iroquois, the Haudenosaunee, the Romans of the West. You dig what I'm talking about? Cold. But it says the percentage of free black slave owners and slave holding heads of family recorded on the federal census. Remember, if you were an African, you can't be on the census. You are a slave, a nothing, a nobody, a no person. You are chattel. You're a pair of socks. Huh? You think your great-great-grandmom and granddaddy went for that? Nah, me neither. Mine did neither. You dig what I'm talking about? So really what's going on? Really what's going on is that these quote-unquote blacks, many who have European genetics, right? Remember, black is a catch-all term for condition. White means land owning, Christian and dissentable. Huh? Remember, black ain't a people. It's not a nationality. It's not an ethnicity. It's not a culture. Black is dead. Has nothing. This is why they call you that. So in your social status, right? Regardless to how skilled you are or anything, in the status, you're black. So the system sees you as black and treats you accordingly. But if you're white in the system, it sees you as white and treats you accordingly. This is why many of our white friends don't know that they got white privilege until you explain it to them. And they'll be like, oh, I guess you're right. Because many of us think it's about money. It's not about money. Not about having money. There are poor white people who still have white privilege. Okay? Percentage of free black slave owners and slave holding heads of family recorded on the federal census with state and local records demonstrating slave ownership in Charleston City, South Carolina, 1830 to 1860. Now, in 1830, you have 25.3% of these free blacks owning slaves, to 22.4, to 23, to 92% by 1860. Right? The sources is U.S. Document of Commerce, Department of Commerce, Bureau of Census, Census of the United States, 1830, 1840, 1850, 1860, Schedule 1 and 2, South Carolina, list of taxpayers of the city of Charleston. Right? Now, watch this. Yet the federal census is plagued by hold on. Okay. That the earlier census returns were just as accurate. Consequently, the census of Charleston City can be used to demonstrate slave ownership rather than slave boarding or slave hiring. Yet the federal census is plagued by one major problem, which is an undercount of the residents. Huh? As with all censuses, the federal enumeration of 1860 failed to report the presence of all its people. Furthermore, the problem of undercounting appears to be more prevalent among free peoples of color. Let me ask y'all a question real quick. Who are the descendants of free people of color from 1790, right? Who are the descendants of the free people of color today? Y'all hit the link, man. Come on in. Come chop it up. We can build. You dig what I'm saying? Who today in 2025 are the descendants of these free people of color who are already here when white folks got here? When they first started to describe these people, they was already free. Not freedmen, not enslaved, ever. Who are these people and where they come from? And better yet, who are their descendants today? They are the so-called blacks and African Americans. Who are really, remember, they were here before 1790. Here in the 1600s. Here in the 1500s. Here in the 1400s. Here in the year 0 AD. Those colored folks have always been here. These are your quote unquote Indians, your aboriginals. The descendants of these people today are misnomered as African Americans, blacks, niggas, Negroes, coloreds. That's us. Now, furthermore, the problem of undercounting appears to be more prevalent among free persons of color rather than among white citizens of Charleston City. Dodge the hijack. Many white citizens of Charleston City were also heavily melanated. Remember, white and black has nothing to do with skin color. It does today, but initially in 1681, when the term white was created, it had nothing to do with skin color. Remember, men like Toussaint, right? Dessalines, they were considered white. They were French. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Black and white are social constructs and are not based on anything biological. Oh, he lying. Cosmo lying again. You know, he just be talking. Watch this. He just be talking. You know, that's all he do. Right? But see, the thing is about it, we got supercomputers in our pocket. We got supercomputers in my pocket. I ain't gonna never talk to you niggas. Talk to you about what? So you can lead me astray? It's a simple question. Are black and white social constructs? Yes. The concepts of black and white as racial categories are largely considered social constructs, meaning they are not based on inherent biological or genetic differences, but are instead created and defined by society. While these categories are used to classify people, they don't reflect meaningful genetic distinctions, and their meanings are shaped by historical, cultural, political, and racial contexts. Check. You dig what I'm talking about? Let's back up out of this a little bit. All right. And the underrepresentation of Charleston's free black community was common to all social and economic groups. For that reason, the census returns cannot be considered a complete account of free coloreds or free colored slave owners. A comparison of the 8th federal census with the tax list of 1860 clearly shows that the number of free black slave owners, remember, I thought y'all was going to war to free us. This 1860. The war all about to crack off. Huh? If we the slaves, how we owning slaves? Huh? And remember, they underreported. So it's what, just like today, it's some niggas that ain't gonna never fill out a census. It was some that didn't want white folks in their business then. There's some people that didn't want the United States government in their business. You dig what I'm talking about? So they wasn't either reporting as slave owners or was dipping, ducking taxes. Whatever it may be, they didn't want them folks in their business. And so if it's underreported, that means the number of people actually enslaved by black slave owners at the time is much, 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 much higher. But the crazy part is 92% of the people that were reported, right, owned slaves. 92% of the niggas that were reported owned slaves. That comes as a surprise to many. Why? Because two things. We supposed to be the slaves, but now we the slave owners. Two, that it was really white, pale skin, and brown skin Europeans, right? White Africans. Most of the African people who were enslaved from Africa had pale faces. I know they told you the story in reverse. But look this up. During the Barbary trade in the north and western coast of Africa, right? Starting in about the 1550s, early 1500s, the same time that they supposed to be taking you from the western coast of Africa, there are between 1.5 and 3.5 million. I'm talking about from 1550 to 1850. In the same place that they going to get you, right? Supposedly. We got 1.5 to 3.5 million pale-skinned Europeans enslaved in the north and western coast of Africa by the Ottoman Empire and their corsair buddies who work in conjunction with the European Vikings. See, this is the part that they don't want to tell you about the Barbary slave trade, right? And that they called the coast where they took all the slaves from the Guinea coast. Why would you call it the Guinea coast, right? There are no Guineas there. The Guineas, right, are from the Mediterranean. They're Europeans. This is why they call Italians Guineas. Everything along the Italian coast all the way to Spain is the coast of Guinea. Why are they calling this place in Africa, right, on the western coast? Why is they calling it the Guinea coast? Huh? Because we just found out 1.5 million people as early as 1500, right, from Europe were enslaved there, documented enslaved. Huh? Did you know that in that same area produces millions and millions of pale-faced Europeans today? Today. Negro land got a lot of white folks in it. It has since the 1500s, 1400s, really. But a comparison of the 8th federal census with the tax list of 1860 clearly shows that the number of free black slave owners reported by the federal census marshals was vastly underestimated. For example, 62% of the black slave owners reported on the tax list of 1860 appeared on a federal census. Only 62%. Of the 79 slave owners recorded on that tax list of the federal enumeration, only 46 or 58% of the slave owners reported to the federal census marshals that they were slave masters. But what y'all got to understand is not only did they own white slaves and all that stuff, and African slaves who were white, and European slaves, many of were brown. This is what y'all got to understand. They lied about everything. All right. Not only that, but you got to understand that at this time, this is just how the business ran. Many men owned their families. This is why they always say, "Oh, you got your last name from your slave owner." Yes, he's my dad. Yeah. Yeah, he's my dad. Right? Go look up the etymology of the word slave, Slav. It says family. Those who live in the house with him. Servant, slave. Go look it up. That's the etymology. Right? It's your family. Right? They turned the system that we had here in America naturally of apprenticeship into indenture, right? Which makes you a peon and in peonage to the land. You dig what I'm talking about, especially for your rights to even come over here, right? That's how they was doing them. That whole system is from over there. It's not even American. Okay? Right. Only 58% of the slave owners reported to the federal census marshals that they were slave masters, while 33 chose not to inform the federal enumerators that they were slave owners. One reason for blacks reporting their ownership of slaves or not reporting their ownership of slaves was their what? Kinship ties to their what? Their human chattel. Come on, Cosmon. I don't be making none of this up. For example, John Morris, a free black and a wheelwright of Charleston City, purchased his who? His two daughters, Rosanna and Carolina, from Josiah A. Payne for $300 in 1849. Now, unless you undo it on your own and you go back and look at Josiah Payne, don't you for a second just think that this man is a pale-skinned European. First of all, his name is Josiah. He might be a nigga. And his last name is Payne. Huh? I don't know too many white Payne. Huh? Even Major Payne was a nigga. But look, they calling this man a slave owner, but who does he own? His daughters, Rosanna and Carolina, from Josiah A. Payne for $300. Huh? 40 ball. I'm just for $300. After Morris bought his two girls, what? He purchased his wife Grace and their son Joseph from William B. for $500 2 years later. How this broke nigga, who was a slave, right? You gotta be a slave. You black, right? You black in America, you must be a slave, Cosmo. You came here on a boat, nigga. Huh? Didn't you? No. How does nigga get $300 then 2 years later turn around? You know how much money that is at that time? $300 is the equivalent to roughly about 10 grand. Well, actually, it's a little more than that. Right? Because it's roughly about 50 times the money, so it's about $15,000. So to buy his wife, it's about $25,000 and his son. How he doing this if he a slave? Because he ain't a slave, and his parents weren't slaves, and their parents weren't slaves, and their parents weren't slaves, and nobody in his family was a slave. Right? That is proven by the fact that they call him a free black. Or, first of all, this term black, right, is a fighting word for us. I'm talking about in the 1950s. Wasn't until the 1960s that they start saying, oh, I'm black and I'm proud. I'm black and I'm proud. Nigga, we'll beat your ass if you called me black before that. Because it means you're a nothing, a nobody, right? You come from nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? That's in a sense what you're saying when you call a person black, right? Now that we know that they social constructs, you can't just necessarily tie yourself in, right? So we got to now look at the information itself. This is what a real historian does. This is what a real scholar does. He searches and tries to make it make sense objectively. Same thing a faithist does. Huh? Now look, rather than tell the census taker that his wife and children were slaves, he simply stated that his loved ones were free blacks. Because at that point, they were. Huh? According to the 8th federal enumeration, Morris's household consisted of his wife, Grace Morris, and their 4 children, Rosanna, Carolina, Joseph, and Peter Morris. Although he reported his family as free persons of color, he still paid the city taxes for 5 slaves. I told y'all it's just business. How it is. Right? Like John Morris, some other free blacks refused to consider or refer to their family members as slaves. As a result, few of these colored slaveholders told the federal census marshals that their kinfolks were slaves. But remember, we own the slaves. Who really is being freed in the South? And why did so many niggas come fight on the side of the Confederates if the North is the one that was supposed to be freeing people? You got to understand this is business at that time. Huh? And many of the people in the North were using products from the South, right? Manufacturing products created in the South. You dig what I'm talking about? It would behoove them to actually keep slavery in place. Especially if you a nigga and your grandma is the one that owned the damn plantation. So yeah, you went and fought on the side of the Confederates. It's not what they told you it was. It's way more complex. Huh? If the underrepresentation in 1860 was typical, then the early census returns may have excluded as many as 1/2, if not more. I'm saying 80%. 75% easy. Huh? As much as 1/2 of the free black slave owners in Charleston City by large. Huh? While the federal enumerations can serve as an excellent source to demonstrate slave ownership, they do not adequately calculate the number of free black slave owners and their slaves, or who and what their slaves look like in Charleston City. As we leave the confines of Charleston City and enter into rural areas of South Carolina, the census returns become difficult to interpret. Dig what I'm talking about? Not what they told y'all. It's not what they told y'all. Anybody want to come in, come build, man? Dig what I'm talking about? Anybody want to come build? As we leave the confines of Charleston City and enter into the rural areas of South Carolina, the census returns become difficult to interpret. In the back country, free blacks occasionally resided on plantations and farms which had white owners, right? But remember, white doesn't necessarily mean skin color. So be careful. It was not unusual for free blacks to work on plantations, because they owned them, and farms as slave drivers and overseers. Consequently, when the white owners left their estates during the summer season to escape the dreaded fever, or when they were simply absentee planters, their free black slave drivers and overseers were left in charge of the estates. Also, there were free black artisans, tenant farmers, and former slaves living on the estates owned by white planters and farmers without any white presence on the premise. Huh? They don't sound like no slaves to me. If you can just get up and leave. Huh? What's stopping these people from getting up and leaving? Nothing. Right? I understand if you're saying it was a shoot. Right? But this a whole man. You dig what I'm talking about? This a whole man. Ain't nothing stopping him from jumping the fence. Man, you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. Right? You got to oppress them to do that. Huh? So when the federal census marshals reported the returns for plantations and farms where only free blacks and slaves lived, they did not always record the white owners among the current tenants or the white slaves on the plantation. However, the federal census takers recorded the names of the white owners as heads of household. Well, then how did the black people get heads of household? Huh? See? Dodge the hijack. It get real convoluted. Even though the white owners were thus reported, the census returns. Remember, white just mean I own land for the most part. Even though the white owners were thus reported, the census returns implied that the free black tenants were not only the heads of household, but slave owners. Since the household had a combination of free blacks and slaves, right? Slaves don't mean black. It just means slave. By in part and for the most part, all slaves were Slavs. The logical deduction would be to consider the free black occupants as slave owners. An example of another sort of confusion is found in the 1840 census, which reported that Elias Collins and Frederick Rutledge were heads of household, with free colored persons and slaves living in the dwelling. The information reported by the enumerators implied that both men were free blacks and slave owners, but that was true only for Elias Collins. According to the tax list of 1824, he was a free black and the owner of 37 slaves. Furthermore, he stated that in his last will and testament that he was a free person of color living in Georgetown County. Frederick Rutledge, however, was of Caucasian descent. Huh? He was what? Right? They reported Frederick Douglass as a free person of color. But in fact, Frederick Douglass was a slave and was of Caucasian descent. Now, if y'all see that, hit me with a 1 in the chat. This is what they don't want to tell you, huh? Because it does this to your cognitive dissonance. It knock it all the way out the box. Because this ain't what you've been told. You see how they just labeled this white dude as a free person of color? Well, guess what? Many of the whites were colored. These whites was niggas. Many of them. Huh? And then look, the guy who really was a free person of color, Elias Collins, owned Frederick Rutledge. This shit is not funny, but it's you gotta kind of laugh to stop from crying because of the number, the doozy they did on our people psychologically. Right? Remember that old saying they used to say, if you want to hide truth from a nigga, put it in a book. Huh? Let me see. Oh, I see some ones coming in. Do y'all see that? I'll go back and read it again. I can't, it won't let me highlight it. Right? I'll go back and read it again. For example, an example of another sort of confusion is found in the 1840 census. Now, the 1840 census reported that Elias Collins and Frederick Rutledge were heads of household, with free colored persons and slaves living in the dwelling. Huh? They were both reported, Elias Collins and Frederick Rutledge, as heads of household, right? The information reported by the enumerators implied that both men were free blacks and slave owners, right? But that was only true for Elias Collins. Elias Collins was a real nigga, and he owned slaves, right? But Frederick Rutledge, let's see, according to the tax list of 1824, Elias Collins was a free black man, and on how, right? Remember, you're supposed to be a slave. You're not even supposed to be able to read. You can't. You straight ooga booga out the jungle right now. You a ooga booga nigga, fresh out the jungle right now. Shaka Zulu still living, nigga. At this time, Shaka Zulu don't die for another 4 years. He was a free black owner of 37 slaves. That's Elias Collins. But furthermore, he stated in his last will and testament that he was a free person of color living in Georgetown. Most likely an Aboriginal American. But Frederick Rutledge, however, was of Caucasian descent. Both of his parents, Frederick Rutledge and Harriet Pinckney Horry, were of English heritage. So this is how white folks get on to the plantations, right? They had black folk who weren't there, allow them to run it. He was a slave too, even though he was called head of household. Both of his parents, in the 1860 census, reported that Rutledge was a white planter of St. James Santee Parish. In short, a man who appears in the records to be a free black slave owner was in fact a white absentee slave owner whose estate was devoid of any white presence. The dilemma of distinguishing between white absentee slave owners and free black slave owners was a major problem outside of Charleston City. Many of the large slave owners who appeared to be free blacks were actually white absentee slave owners and planters like Frederick Douglass, who were really slaves themselves. He just watching over what him master say. Another problem occurred when colored slave owners hired white overseers. See? Like Frederick Rutledge. Or had other whites residing on their estates or as slaves. The federal census marshal recorded the names of the heads of household, but when the combination of free blacks and whites lived on the plantation, look, the natural inference would be to classify the owner of the estate as white. But the nigga owned the land. But they still calling him white, even though he's a free black. Why are they calling him white? Because he is the landowner. It don't matter about your skin color. And then they assuming that this guy just owns the land who is actually there. When in fact, he's a white slave driver or overseer. Inference would be to classify the owner of this estate as white, regardless of actual skin color, assigning the free black resident to the role of tenant. For instance, Elias Collins was reported to be the owner of 34 slaves by the federal enumeration of the fourth census. His household had a combination of free blacks, most likely his family, slaves, right, which were of all color, primarily white though, and a white male over 45 years old. What was the white male doing? Why didn't they call him a slave? Why? Because he's the overseer and yet is a slave, right? He watched over the stuff for Elias Collins. He worked for him, right? After careful examination of the census return for Elias Collins, the logical deduction would be that Collins was the white male living in the household, the head of family and the slave owner. However, that observation is erroneous. When actually Collins, Elias Collins, is the nigga, the free black. Right? Many people would think it's the white male over 45. That's because they can't read in there, biased, racist, and prejudiced many times against them own selves. Yeah. After a careful examination of the census return for Elias Collins, the logical deduction would be that Collins was the white male living in the household, the head of the family and the slave owner. However, that observation is erroneous. In a cross-check of the census return with state and local documents, the deduction that Elias Collins was a white planter cannot be substantiated. Rather, the cross-check firmly demonstrates that he was a free person of color and a slave owner. Occasionally, the estate was owned by a free black absentee owner, right? But they're calling them white. For example, Daniel Eady, a colored farmer of St. John's, Berkeley, was reported as a head of household that included only white females and slaves in 1810. Nigga, this is 2 years after America made slavery illegal. They made slavery illegal in America in 1808. You telling me in 1810, that a nigga in South Carolina, mind you, this is supposed to be the slave state. They brought, see, what y'all gonna end up finding out is, and let me drop this little bit of game to you. More melanated Aboriginal American Indians were taken out of the port of South Carolina than Africans were ever brought in, ever. I'm talking about from 1600 to the 1790s. Right? At this census. From the 1600s to 1790s, more Aboriginal Americans were taken from Charleston than Africans brought in the whole 500 years. I'm talking about from 1492 to 1992. And especially in that time from 1600 to 1790. But we can go from 1690 to 1790. More Aboriginal Americans were taken from Charleston than Africans were ever brought in. Let that sink in a second. So that even begs to ask the question, who is these free blacks? They couldn't have been of African stock. It's only two choices at that point. You're European or you're American. All the Africans were slaves, whether white or black, didn't matter. He was a slave. Right? That's why we don't respect them niggas over here in America. They don't respect us either. But we don't care. You see what I'm saying? That's why they got the ban all African stuff out right now. Niggas is boycotting. If y'all didn't know, niggas is boycotting Africans, but we also throw Asians on there. So now you can't get your dog fried rice no more. You dig what I'm talking about? Your sweet and sour tabby cat. You just gonna have to put that on hold for a while. We boycotting Asians and goddamn Africans and shit till they get in, we just niggas is just delineate. All right? It is what it is. Same thing with the faiths. We delineate. You dig what I'm talking about? We're not like everybody else. It just is what it is. You dig what I'm talking about? And one day you're gonna have to get up and do it for yourself. Occasionally, the estate was owned by a free black absentee slave owner. For example, Daniel Eady, a colored farmer of St. John's, Berkeley, was reported as the head of a household that included only white females, and slaves in 1810. So if the nigga is owning slaves in 1810, well, who are they fighting to free in 1860 at Civil War? Seems like they fighting to free the white people. Told you. Once again, the census returns could be interpreted to suggest that Daniel Eadie was white, and they would have called him that. But in his last will and testament, he declared that he was a free colored man of St. John's of Berkeley. Clearly, the census returns, which report a sole white male or his family residing on a plantation with slaves, do not always prove that the owner was white. By and large, the federal census returns from 1790 to 1840 outside of Charleston must be cross-checked with state and local documents to ensure the accurate inference. Carter G. Woodson and free Negro owners of slaves in the United States in 1830 clearly misinterpreted the federal census of 1830. Although Woodson and his associates accurately recorded individual households which had free blacks and slaves living in the dwellings, he mistakenly concluded that the heads of household were free blacks and slave owners. Huh? You even got to check your OGs. You got to check their work. Because had somebody not checked and rechecked, we would have thought Carter G. Woodson was actually and factually right. But he wasn't. Woodson's conclusions eliminated the possibility that some of the dwellings had white absentee heads of household, right? Especially, he didn't even assume or could have or thought and didn't add that the fact that many of these so-called absentee slave owners, right, who are called white, was still melanated. Yet, such sometimes was the case. For example, in 1830, Thomas F. Caper of St. Thomas and St. Denis Parish was reported by the federal census marshal as the head of a household, which included free blacks and slaves. Based on that report, Woodson concluded that Caper was a free black and slave owner. Yet the local records demonstrate that Thomas F. Caper was a white planter of Charleston City. In the directory of Charleston City for 1830, he was listed as a resident of the city living on 44 Meeting Street. Also, in 1850, he was reported as a white person and a broker living in Ward 2. In many instances, the planters of Charleston District lived in the city while they hired overseers to manage their estates. Occasionally, their overseers happened to be free blacks. In summary, Woodson's analysis of the federal census of 1830 failed to distinguish between free black slave owner and white absentee planters, and several of the slave owners that Woodson classified as free blacks were in fact white absentee slave owners. Ooh-wee. Huh? Even when the state or local records acknowledge that a slave master was a mulatto, the statement of race was not always reflected in the census. Many other federal census takers were often confused by the light complexion of free mulattoes, Indians. Many of these people ain't got no mix. Huh? They ain't got no mix. Nothing. It's pure Indian. Huh? And they may have a light complexion, but their parents is dark. Their kids is dark. We come in all colors, man. Y'all got to stop that color stuff, right? In 1850, because really, you see, the color stuff don't come from you; it come from them. They're using lookership to try to tell you who you is. In 1850, for example, William Clark and his family were reported as white, by the census taker of Charleston City. But that same year, the city tax collector listed them as free persons of color. Furthermore, the rector so that begs to ask the question, nigga, did you see him? Did you even look? Did you get that report from somebody else? So on the census, they labeled these people as white, but they actually niggas. Let that sink in. If y'all see that, hit me with a 2 in the chat. For example, William Clark and his family were reported as white by the census. But that same year, the city tax collector listed them as free people of color. So now we got, do y'all see that niggas have and were labeled as white? So when you see a lot of that white on the census, don't get duped, because that don't mean that they not niggas. See the confusion? They did a number on our people, bro. They hit us with the mollywop. I'm gonna finish this, and I'm gonna go in. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm gonna go ahead. I ain't gonna beat a dead horse. Y'all see that? Furthermore, the rector of St. Michael's Church listed William B. Clark and his wife, Frances A. Clark, as mulattoes. Is that even true? They mixed with something? How you know? As mulattoes, when the couple had their children baptized in 1842. Clearly, the problem of distinguishing between mulattoes and whites befuddled many census enumerators who did not know how to categorize mulattoes, because there is no such thing. So racial classification. To add to the dilemma, the authorities of South Carolina refused to establish a fractional criterion to define the blackness or the whiteness of their mulattoes. Many prominent, and this is where you end up getting, well, just one drop of it, just make them a nigga. Many prominent whites were fearful that an attempt to define the term mulatto might push too many persons over the wrong side of the color line, and this family is why they finally went to war over slavery. Why? Because many prominent whites were fearful that an attempt to define the term mulatto might push too many persons over the wrong side of the color line. So there was no legal definition of the term mulatto by the state legislature, and the problem of distinguishing between mulattoes and whites became a matter for the courts to determine. So they're using lookership. If you see that the problem really was that, right, what they're calling a white, they can't even tell the difference between a mulatto and a white. And that many of these whites were starting to be enslaved more and more and more and more. And it's not only white gentry in the South, but the white gentry in the North. They like, yo, wait a minute. I look like cuz. In the book Forgotten Cause of the Civil War, a A journalist comes down from New York and goes to Charleston. He sees the slave, where they sell slaves at, right? He said he was astonished. He was astonished because he thought that they were selling black people, but it was black people selling white people. He said the people being sold, especially this one girl he was talking about, had blonde hair, blue eyes, and looked like the whitest Scandinavian ever. Huh? This 1859. Right? He wrote about it because he was outraged because he didn't know. Right? It's fear. And when a white man gets scared, duck. You dig what I'm saying? Big cloud kick up in this thing, man. Y'all come on through, kick it with your cousin now. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all come on through, man. I'll drop the link in the chat. Anybody want to holler at your boy? You dig what I'm saying, man? If y'all got something up out of this, throw some fire emojis in the chat. If nothing else, at least you know that niggas was owning slaves, not what you've been told, and many times that white folks was being called blacks and blacks was being called whites. Because it has nothing to do with skin color, y'all. Right? Has nothing to do with skin color. It's a status. It's a social construct. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all boys want to come up? You know what I'm talking about? Maybe I'll rock a little something, man. I guess don't nobody want to come up. Is what it is.
Shout out to Cosmon Cow. Cosmon Cowboy, I'm going to tell you something. He is a problem. He is a problem when it comes to these Hebrew Israelites. Y'all better stop playing. He is a problem. Cosmon Cow is a problem. Creator gang.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. Know that. Know that. They not like us. Separate the real from the fake is a must. We stand on Creator and know God we trust. Team Kemet got crushed into powder and dust. Woo! Kemet looking bad now. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many men down? Look at us all running, ducking, trying to skip town. Now power one it in. You Hebrew, what you Kemet now? Siding with the people that enslaved your own people now? Chop you up into pieces and throw you in the river now. Bet you right beside you get ate by Kemetic crocodile. Look, we got them running, covering square miles. Scared to death, what's left only to take the crown. Get smashed down on your own stomping ground. We took over like the Hicks on your turf doing a disco. 2-stepping, no half-stepping with the info. You wouldn't even know the book of the dead, bro, if it wasn't for the translation done by my sparrow. Your time's narrow, semi-missiles blow out your arch arrows. Arches down, so goes the pharaoh. I saw him reading the glyphs like he an expert. But where he learned that from? This about to hurt. First translation came from Samuel Birch. European Egyptology gave you it first. You couldn't translate a bird to a word without looking up them European definition verbs. Y'all niggas acting like y'all blackity black. Fronting to the people, man, y'all niggas actually whack. Your pathetic Kemetic creation meant there's a trap. The blind leading the blind with no actual facts. Shabario Saze, you saw for the shot day. Come to find out he followed with Yahweh. That was your execution. You par Rosicrucian. Western thought you using. You are quite confusing. Don't know what you doing. How my I got you moving. Right now you are losing. At your wake I'm viewing. R.I.P. communion. Mummy wrapped in ruin. OSP is ruling. Science has been proven. All motion moving. You live in an illusion. Who you think you fooling? Think you need some schooling. It's like Reggie out here living in a ghost town. Walking around like I see dead people around. I don't believe in spirits, but I believe them now. Stuttering Stanley, you can have a seat now.
Stuttering Stanley, Stuttering Stanley, Stuttering Stanley, Stuttering Stanley. Shut up, you freak.
Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. And it's gonna remain that way. And it's gonna remain that way.
Shout out to that boy Big Bad Balioso.
Come on, man.
Shout out to my boy Balioso.
Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, them niggas trash like some ooh. Try to get back to them slaves. Hey, hey. Try to get back to them slaves. Hey, hey. Fucking slave narrative, they phony. I had this nigga named Toby and he owed me. When the plot crop and the stock drop on top, them niggas going. Sold to the bitter cotton pickers, them my niggas. I'ma come down, feed them chitlins and them gizzards. Nigga, I'm the mister, I whip ya, I kill you. In the big house, go down with your sister. Send it back to you, then I send for your mother. Y'all niggas look out, I'ma work you like no other. Make you pick cotton to the sun, come and touch it. Till your damn hands and feet, your foot all bust up. Look me in my eyes, I'ma backhand the buck up. Nah. Shout out to Grandma Foo. Why your man came, she the one that sold you. My crew swam to the show and got you. Good shit, Jesus, man, that nigga came through. Hey, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, them niggas trash like some ooh. Trying to get back to them slaves.
Big Bad Balioso.
Hey, trying to get back to them slaves. Fuck off it, fuck Lennon, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Fuck off it, fuck Ben, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Fuck off it, fuck Lennon, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Ayy. Play with this shit, dude. Big Eddie. Balioso, PC, the acrobatic. Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African.
Hold on, let's something. It just knocked me off of there or something real quick. But let's get back to it, man. We just vibing, man. Anybody want to come on in, man? Come kick it, man. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I know you can't hear it. I know. 1 second. 1 second. I gotta reshare it. I know. You dig what I'm talking about? While we here, man, you know, let's like to give a shout out, you know, to the women. That's the most important. You dig what I'm talking about? And without them, we couldn't even be here, man. Shout out to all the mama chiefs. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to my boy Dre Cobbs, man. Anyway, shout out my boy Dre Cobbs, man. You dig what I'm talking about? Salute to all the mama chiefs. You dig what I'm talking about? We couldn't do it without y'all.
Shout out to the mama chiefs. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with them eyes apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just want to thank you for my creation, cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all rap for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all rap for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Yeah. Create a gang. FOPE dis. For our people's ignorance. Salute Malachi Maccabee, Cosmon Cal, Bronze Yogi, Yara. Create a gang. Peace to the goddesses. We gonna set the record straight. I know these clowns ain't folk, man, they a fucking joke. Naphtali tried to explain the Ark of Noah's boat. Malachi Maccabee exposed the whole shit as a hoax. She had the nerve to say the earth is 6,000 years old. And tried to use Gobekli Tepe for the Ark of Noah. What you ought to know, your sources got burned like an arsenal. So pack it up and throw them scripts in the trash. Your God gets stolen dead for prophecies not coming to pass. Like America supposed to get hit with the nuclear blast. 24 years later, we look back at you niggas and laugh. I should pick rocks and stone you niggas myself. Throw you in a lake of fire, watch your skin start to melt. Shawshank be the first to get blamed. When I heard the shots, look, left his people and ran. Damn, K. Judah, you feel be a shooter, you not a teacher, you a tutor, hiding behind computers. Naphtali, you not ready for Mali. He exposed to go for wood from the Ark, come out of Cali. Long Beach, Naphtali better run a retreat. Your champion looking bad on these YouTube streets. When I waving the white flag as a sign of defeat. Bow down like Jehu and kiss the boot on my feet, nigga. Your Messiah can't save shit. Where was the Messiah when we was chained to them slave ships? Praying to a God to return ain't say shit. The God of war got you niggas stuck in a slave pit. Talking about that prophecy. More like propaganda from a false God democracy. FOP for our people's edification. You not edifying, but lying to the Israelite nation. Think you following God when you following Satan. Stiff-necked and stubborn like them goddamn Jamaicans. Come against Creator, gang, your doctrine's dying. When Mally cut Naphtali, she almost started crying. She ran to her husband and screamed, baby, I'm trying. That's what happens when you put a pussycat against a lion. Yeah, Creator gang is undefeated.
You disrespecting me. You disrespect my...
We fight as a single impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
With that being said, man, we ain't got nobody coming in. You dig what I'm talking about, man? I hope y'all got something up out of this, man. If you got something up out of it, throw me some fire emojis in the chat, man. Throw me some prayer emojis up in there, man. Give it up to the Great Spirit, man. As always, man, I'm not here telling you what you know. I'm teaching you what you don't know. Right? I'm not here to teach you what you already know. Y'all already intelligent with what you know. Right? I'm here to teach you the stuff you don't know. And with that, as always, you know what I need you to do. I need you to breathe in and let that light in. Because I'm Cosmon, and I'm out, y'all.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh
Just that Japheth, that Chow Mein, that Papa Bull, that Tao Mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so as above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing current? See the pattern is panic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing political. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it Salat. Well, I'm an Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith. It's so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.